As of the evening of April 6, 2026, the 4 astronauts aboard the Orion spacecraft have officially ventured further into the cosmos than any human beings in history. At precisely 7:07 p.m. EDT, Orion reached its maximum distance of 252,706 miles from Earth, shattering the 56-year-old record held by the legendary Apollo 13 mission. This wasn't just a numerical victory, it was a deeply emotional milestone. Just moments before slipping behind the lunar far side, Commander Reed Wiseman made a heartbreaking request to Mission Control, asking to name a fresh lunar crater, Carol, in honor of his late wife. As the Earth shrunk to a tiny blue marble in the window, the crew shared a rare moment of raw human connection, proving that even at the edge of the abyss, the bonds of home remain unbreakable. However, the celebration was short-lived as the laws of orbital mechanics took over. Having reached its peak, Orion has now turned the corner and begun its violent acceleration back toward Earth. The spacecraft is no longer drifting, it is falling. Driven by Earth's massive gravitational pull, Orion is picking up speed that will eventually reach a staggering 25,000 miles per hour. This transition marks the end of the mission's observational phase and the beginning of its most lethal challenge. The crew has traded the serene silence of the lunar far side for a high-stakes race against physics, knowing that the same gravity that is bringing them home is also setting the stage for a re-entry firestorm that will test their heat shield to its absolute limit. The moment Orion surpassed its maximum distance, the celestial tug-of-war shifted decisively in Earth's favor. For the past few days, the spacecraft had been fighting against gravity, slowing down as it climbed the invisible hill toward the moon. Now, that process has reversed. Orion is essentially in a 400,000-kilometer freefall. Driven by the Earth's immense gravitational well, the capsule is rapidly shedding its lunar characteristics and transforming into a kinetic projectile. By the time it reaches the outer layers of our atmosphere on April 10th, it will be traveling at approximately 25,000 miles per hour, nearly 40,000 kilometers per hour. This is a velocity so extreme that it turns the surrounding air into a wall of superheated plasma, testing every bolt and weld of the European Service Module's propulsion system as it prepares for the final maneuvers. This homecoming is a race against time and heat. Unlike a return from the International Space Station, which orbits just 400 kilometers above us, a lunar return trajectory carries exponentially more energy. The free return path that NASA has meticulously calculated is a masterpiece of safety, but it leaves zero room for navigational error. At these speeds, a deviation of just 1 degree in the entry angle could result in the spacecraft either bouncing off the atmosphere like a stone skipped across a pond, drifting into a permanent terminal orbit, or plunging too steeply and incinerating in seconds. The crew is now meticulously monitoring their trajectory data, knowing that their survival depends on a series of precise thruster burns that will align their heat shield for the most punishing atmospheric entry in over half a century. As Orion accelerates toward a fiery reunion with Earth's atmosphere, one critical component stands between the crew and disaster: the 16.5-foot Avcoat heat shield. During the uncrewed Artemis I mission in 2022, engineers were shocked to find that the shield's protective material didn't just char, it cracked and chipped off in unexpected chunks, a phenomenon known as spalling. Despite years of investigation, NASA discovered that trapped gases within the material were causing internal pressure to explode outward. However, instead of redesigning the hardware, the agency made a high-stakes decision to fly Artemis II with the original shield design, banking on a modified, gentler re-entry trajectory to keep the crew safe. It is a calculated risk that has sparked intense debate among aerospace experts, as the shield must now endure temperatures of 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit without the benefit of a physical fix. To mitigate this risk, flight directors have scrapped the aggressive skip reentry maneuver used in the first mission, opting for a shallower, more stable loft profile. This change is designed to reduce the peak thermal load and prevent the internal pressure buildup that led to the previous damage. However, the stakes are significantly higher in 2026 due to a peak in the solar cycle, which has increased atmospheric density and radiation levels. As the crew of Artemis II prepares for their April 10th splashdown, they are essentially serving as the ultimate test subjects for a heat shield that remains a point of incipient failure in the eyes of some critics. The coming days will prove whether NASA's software workarounds and trajectory tweaks are enough to protect 4 human lives from the most brutal re-entry conditions ever faced by a modern spacecraft.
As Orion continues its relentless plunge toward the atmosphere, the focus shifts from the stars to the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean. On April 10, 2026, the mission will culminate in a series of perfectly timed pyrotechnic events as the European service module is jettisoned, leaving the crew alone in the gumdrop-shaped command module. The final challenge is the 7 minutes of terror, where the spacecraft will endure a total communications blackout caused by the surrounding envelope of superheated plasma. To ensure a safe landing, Orion must deploy its 11 parachute sequence in precise stages, slowing the craft from 300 miles per hour to a gentle 20 miles per hour before hitting the water. Recovery teams from the USS San Diego are already positioning themselves near the splashdown zone, equipped with specialized divers and recovery cradles to extract the 4 history makers from their ocean-bound capsule. The return of Artemis II will mark the end of a 10-day odyssey, but it is only the opening chapter of a new era in human exploration. By successfully navigating the lunar far side and surviving the record-breaking 400,000-kilometer journey, Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Koch, and Jeremy Hansen have verified that Orion is ready for the ultimate test, landing humans on the lunar surface. This mission has proven that humanity can not only reach deep space, but also return safely from its most extreme environments. As the world awaits the sight of 3 orange and white parachutes blooming over the Pacific, the success of Artemis II sends a clear message to the stars. We are no longer just visitors to the moon. We are its neighbors, and the path to Mars is now wider than ever before.